super self-conscious about recording on video right now. My neighbors aren't that close, but I feel like they could hear me. So I am new to this whole YouTube recording thing. I don't like being on camera myself personally, but I do want to get into more long-form content and document the new things that I try as I go to hopefully help somebody else who's afraid to take the leap to start too. So for me, this leap is gardening. I've always wanted to start a garden, or at least try. I love being outside. I love nature. I've started some seeds in my house before, like herbs and stuff, and I just got like a real satisfaction out of propagating my house plants and growing things from nothing, basically. So I think I'll like gardening, but who knows? I could absolutely hate it. So I am going to start small with just like 2 raised garden beds this summer and go from there. Definitely don't want to overcommit in case I do hate it. But yeah, so I figured to give myself the best chance, I'm going to be doing what's called winter sowing in milk jugs. I already did the cilantro because I did a how-to video on how to make these, but I'm basically doing the rest of my seeds, or most of the rest of my seeds, today using the same method. So basically what you do here, let me grab one of these without seeds in it. So you fill, well, first you poke first. So imagine that this is not cut open, goodness. So imagine this is not cut open. This is just a gallon milk jug. Before you cut it, you'll basically poke some holes throughout the top for ventilation, some holes on the bottom for drainage. As you can see, this one's draining right now. And you want to do that before you poke the holes, because they're a lot more rigid, a lot more sturdy. You can use a drill, like a power drill, or if you want to do it like me and just manhandle the crap out of them, I just slammed the screwdriver through a few times and got my holes that way. You poke holes in the top, poke holes in the bottom for drainage, and the holes in the top are for ventilation. You keep the cap, you can either keep the cap on or off. There's 2 methods I've seen. If you keep it on, you want to poke the ventilation holes in the top. If you keep it off, that is your ventilation hole, so you wouldn't poke holes in the top. I wish I would have tried 2 different ways, but since I'm only doing 1 jug of each of these to start out, I didn't really have anything like solid to compare. So I'm going to keep the cap on, and I poked holes in the top. Once you have your holes poked, you're going to use like a box cutter or an X-Acto knife, or some scissors or something. I used a box cutter for this, but you're going to cut all the way around your milk jug, but leaving a couple inch piece below the handle as kind of like, you know, your hinge. So your lid is still attached, but it's easy to remove. And you do that to all of them. And then once you have them all cut, then you fill them with very moist potting soil, seed starting mix, whatever. I have a mix of seed starting mix and potting soil in here, just because that's what I had on hand. And you want it to be moist. So very, very damp. As you can see, it is dripping a little bit. That's okay. That's what the drainage holes are for. But the idea is when you tape these up, that it's going to create a greenhouse effect. Because as long as they have enough humidity in here, even if it was to snow, it'll protect them. It'll keep them warm enough. So yeah, so you want the greenhouse effect to form in there, so you do want wet soil. The ventilation holes are also going to let moisture in as well as out. So if you get like a rain one day, the rain will come in, add a little bit more humidity, and then on the really hot days, which I wouldn't consider today a hot day, but when it starts to get into the 70s, you can take the cap off and let some of the hot air out so they don't bake. But that's the idea. These are meant to be little mini greenhouses to protect them from the elements, while still giving them that cold like the warming and cooling of the natural climate. So yeah, so that's what you do. You fill them with soil, place your seeds in, and then you tape it back up with duct tape, just like I did here. Oh, I almost forgot to mention, before you tape them up, you want to label them. You want to mark it in a few places, the inside being one of them. So yeah, so in a nutshell, poke holes in the top and the bottom, cut it open, leaving a couple inch hinge, fill it with soil, put your seeds in, duct tape it back up. Well, you want to label it first, but label the inside, tape it back up, label the outside, and then set it outside where it'll get some sun, but it'll also kind of be sheltered a little bit from heavy snows and things like that, and wind. And the idea of this is it's going to give you, it's going to get your plants started sooner than when you would typically direct sow them, without having to take up a whole bunch of room in your house, without having to spend money on like heating pads for underneath your plants, the plastic containers, like grow lamps. Like, it spares you from having to take up a bunch of room in your house, spending a bunch of money. I just recycled these from jugs that we already had bought, you know, for milk and water. And yeah, so that's the idea. So you're able to get your garden started sooner, rather than waiting for the perfect conditions to start planting. Because like I said, we're going to get snow in April, and then you have to wait for soil to be a certain temperature, etc. So this just allows me to get started, so that way I can direct sow them while they're already grown, you know. Hopefully I'm explaining this correctly, because again, I'm not a gardener, I'm a newbie. Again, I did a lot of research. There is a woman that I follow on YouTube. I'll link her videos in down below in the comment section there, but I'm following her methods. She does bell peppers and tomatoes and cucumbers in March, and she lives in again a similar climate to myself, and she has great success with them. So even though tomatoes and peppers aren't considered hardy and you want to start them a little bit later, since we are having an unseasonably warm winter right now, I feel confident starting them too, even though I've never done it before. So it really depends on your climate. But yeah, I'm going to be doing oregano, tomato, two different kinds of tomatoes, cherry and beefsteak. Actually, I just realized I'm missing one of my tomato packets. Whoops. Well, anyways, I'm going to be doing two different types of tomato, parsley, oregano, bell pepper, cucumber, I think I said bell peppers. I'm actually going to try red lilies too. Red lilies need cold stratification, so does lavender. So I'm going to be trying to grow some red lilies and some lavender using this method too, so we'll see. And yeah.